Welcome to the R is for Retro podcast, where we discuss all things retro video game related. My name's Matty J. I am one of your hosts, and I wish I had a real life Pokemon as a pet. Joining me are my other co-hosts, Chris.
Hi, my name is Chris from the Falmouth Gamers. I like long romantic walks in the park with my Neo Geo and reading Nintendo Power with the lights dimmed down with some scented candles for a more intimate read.
And I'm Mike from T-Bit 192. I like long, intimate showers with my Atari 2600. Let me introduce our other guests, Retro Rat and John Hancock.
Hi, I'm Retro Rat, and I like prancing through the forest while I hold my Mega Man X cartridge.
This show is sponsored by the Let's Play and number 7.
As Mike mentioned, joining us today is Retro Rat and John Hancock. You can see Retro Rat on YouTube under the YouTube title Retro Rat. And Mr. John Hancock hosts and organizes the Cowlitz Gamers for Kids, as well as has one of the most impressive video game collections that I know of. We're just going to go around to our guests, of course, and we'll talk about some of the things you collect in your favorite and least favorite console. We'll start with Retro Rat first.
All right. I mainly collect for Nintendo, Super Nintendo, N64, Genesis, Saturn, and Sega CD. My main focus is the original Nintendo. My least favorite console is actually the Xbox 360, and my favorite console is the original Nintendo. The Nintendo is just nostalgic for me, and the 360, for some reason, I just can't get past the Red Ring of Death.
Yeah, that's me in 360. I had 3 ever that I've gotten secondary market, and the longest one has ever lasted is like a month.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I haven't given another one a try. I just sits on the box on the shelf.
And how about you, John?
Well, I collect everything. I mostly collect everything from 1972 up to mid-2000s is what my cutoff is. And the only reason I have a cutoff is because I'm out of space. So I'm actively really going after, of all things, PlayStation's greatest hit set. I'm about 30 or so away from that. My favorite system of all time, that's a tough one. It's probably a toss between Sega Genesis and Atari 2600. Even though I'm a big fan of pretty much anything 32-bit and before, I collect everything, and I don't have a lot of things I don't like about those generations. My most least favorite system, it's tough right now. I really am just having a hard time liking the Xbox One. I just, outside from the Halo Master Chief Collection, it's just tough. It's going to be a tough system for me to tackle.
Yeah, I think Xbox One left a bad taste in their mouth with the whole trying to charge for the used games and everything, and I don't think they've been able to come back from that.
Well, it's called E3 2013. It was the worst E3 I've ever seen any company have. And the spokesperson they had for that was the worst thing they could have ever done. They pretty much were running to the finish line, tripped and fell, and broke their neck on the way down.
Yeah. Now, I know you said that Atari 2600 might be one of your favorite systems. We all know Mike likes to shower with his Atari 2600, but Chris actually just got an Atari 2600. So tell us about that, Chris.
Yeah, basically, my friend's dad was going to get rid of his. He found it in the garage and just didn't want it. So right before he was about to toss it out, she stopped him and she basically said, "Hey, wait, don't toss this out. I know somebody that collects video games." So she just gave me a call and she said, "Hey, do you want to come down here and come pick it up?" And I said, yeah, okay, I'll come pick it up. And that's how I got my Atari. Got it for free.
Nice.
Don't you love free?
Yep. And what was funny is it came with 12 games, and when I opened it up, it had a few extra things. It had like a Marvel Legends toy in it or something like that. Nice. So I got some extra stuff.
Extra free on top of free. You can't beat that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's like a great moment in collecting. What are what's one of your favorite moments in collecting?
One of my favorite moments, I was about like 13 years old. I was at a garage sale, wasn't finding anything, and I had like $10 in my pocket. I went up to a table, and this kid had a couple Super Nintendo games. I already had them, but I asked him the most important question: do you have anything else? He ran home and he got a copy of Mega Man X3 that I bought for $7. At that time, the game was being sold for like 80 at GameStop, and it was the only Mega Man I missed for the Super Nintendo. And I've been a Mega Man diehard fan, and just couldn't wait to run home and play. And I was so excited that day.
Yeah, that's awesome. And now that game has just skyrocketed. I don't even know what it's at now, but still, any Mega Man game for $7 is great, especially X3 though.
Yeah.
Now, John, I'm sure you have a lot of different moments in your collecting, but hit us with one or two of them.
All right. 2003, I was married a year, and I was going on the West Coast with my wife for an anniversary. And we were in a little town, and there was a flea mart there, and there was a couple, and they must have been in their 70s. They looked like they were selling off a video store that they once owned that was out of business, and they had these curtains up. So I was walking up to this place, and I asked if they had any video games. They said, yeah, we do. And they opened up the curtain, and there was literally like 400 box Nintendo games. And I about fainted, and pretty much I was asking, I started, and they're all the rare ones. They're all like Pest Terminator, all the unlicensed stuff, all the Colored Dreams bunch games. And she says, yeah, you should have been here earlier, because the guy came and got all like the good ones, like the Metroid, the Mario, and all that. Went for a NES set, and I walked away paying less than $3 a piece for about 300 box NES games, and all in one shot. And they're all complete.
That's crazy.
So that was like probably my biggest score ever. And that's tough, because my second story is Classic Gaming Expo 2005, I think. And what happened was there was an auction for Special Olympics. I won it. It was a very, very rare 2600 card, Magic card. And I won it for $100. It was the first mystery auction that they did. And I took that, and I traded it for my stadium events. I pretty much paid $100 for my stadium events.
That's awesome, and I'm jealous, and that's awesome.
You literally just blew my mind.
Mind blow. But yeah, that's hard. That's a hard one to top, and I'll always remember it. And there's pictures of me actually on the internet winning the Magic card, still posted. So, but yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, Mike called me earlier in the week excited that he found stadium events for $5, but it was really just Pokemon Stadium for Nintendo 64.
That's still not a bad deal.
Still good.
So, I mentioned earlier, Retro Rat, you have a YouTube channel. It's Retro Rat. Why don't you tell us just a little bit about your channel?
My channel mainly started because of certain guys that I watched, like Business 17 and Grimsy 42, and I realized that I should be posting more videos to get more active into the community to help me with trades, knowledge, and just pass things along that I'm finding. So I started doing pickup videos, and actually in the middle of gathering more information with other YouTubers to do like collection updates and like little extra things like Let's Plays, other than just me finding games. Here's what I got, and just move on, because I want to give back to the gaming community, and I do contests every once in a while, giving away some cool prizes.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a subscriber to your channel. You do very similar style videos to me, I just, you're like me, we're both kind of smaller channels, so yeah. I always like supporting smaller channels as well. I love the bigger channels, but gotta support us little guys too, right?
Well, everybody collects in their own way, and everyone gets big, whether it's spending 6 years on YouTube or just knowing the right person, and that person plugs you a million times, and then you get big. But it's all the same. We're all collecting games, we're all playing games, we're all enjoying video games, and that's what it all gets down to.
Yeah, completely agree. And I know, and again with John, I know I mentioned that you host the Cowlitz Gamers for Kids. You want to talk about that a little bit for us?
Also want to add that I guest on other people's channels, and I do a separate DVD series on the side because I just don't have time editing. So I'm on Gamester 81 or mostly on Metal Jesus Rock's channel. Guest appear there as the Immortal.
Yeah, the Immortal.
I do a series of nuts and bolts videos. I usually have those at conventions, and I pretty much sell those just to make some scratch for some games. But back to Callous Gamers. 5 years ago, I started a charity event. I was one of the original organizers of the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. I'm friends with all the guys. They're awesome. And I'm pulling 2 jobs. So I was saving up money for an adoption, and I stepped down because of time. And I wanted to do a local game show for abused kids for a nonprofit called Children's Justice and Advocacy Center. And with the support of Portland Retro Gaming Expo and my favorite local game store, Classics and Oddities, they pretty much helped me with other vendors start. And pretty much we've raised $25,000 now in the last 5 years for charity. And so we typically have about 40 vendors at an annual show, and the vendor space now is up to 13,000 square feet, and it's at the fairgrounds, local fairgrounds. And so it's just a great show for a great cause, and it keeps growing, and we've had the support of the community, and that's pretty much what I do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Nice.
Let's go around and we'll talk about what we are currently all playing, changing gears here. We're going to start with Mike.
I've been playing mostly Xbox One. Minecraft just came out on the Xbox One, so I've been focusing on that mainly, but Luigi's Mansion on GameCube.
Nice. You know I'm still so addicted to Minecraft, so how did you like it on the Xbox One?
The best thing ever.
It's the best thing ever?
Mm-hmm. Greatest thing ever made.
Do you just waste your whole life playing Minecraft now like me?
I mean, I have school, but otherwise, yes. And besides long romantic showers with the Atari, I mean, Minecraft comes in second.
That's fair.
Or besides spying on Chris when he's in the shower, but I mean...
Man.
I think that's a whole nother podcast. I think
I was wondering who that was.
Stalkers in the night.
You weren't even wondering.
Gotta give someone a show.
What about you, Chris? What are you playing right now, man?
Well, since I just got the Atari 2600, I've been playing that mostly now. Trying the games out, seeing if they're working. I got like Pitfall and Donkey Kong. What do you call it? Defender, I think it was, right? Combat, just playing all those old games, you know?
Those are all like classic 2600 titles. I know very little about all the Atari games library, and I know every one of those games, so they have to be like the classic ones.
Yeah. The one I've been playing the most is the Donkey Kong one.
Nice.
It was a lot of fun. And I forgot how bad Pac-Man was.
Oh,
it's the worst.
Yeah.
There's a new version, gentleman that made Pac-Man 4K homebrew. He's working on. You go on an Atari Age, they talk about it, but it's essentially an amazing port of the arcade game for the 2600. It's great.
It's like how it should have been.
Yeah, and actually using the limited in the small size card is amazing.
Nice. Retro, what are you playing right now?
I just finished Albert's Odyssey on the Saturn, and then I moved over to Vi on the Sega CD, and then my wife just got me for our anniversary Bravely Default, so I played that for a few hours today.
Nice. Now, I know you just mentioned you're married, and John's mentioned he's married. I'm also married. What does each one of your wives think about your collecting? Now, John, it sounded like you had a pretty massive collection before you got married.
Well, it's interesting you say that. So I got married in 2001, but it's changed over time, and so it grew. I had a large collection of Star Wars that changed to video games right when I got married, and so I had games. I've been collecting for 20 years, but really my collection took off around 2000, where it really went from like a decent sized collection to okay, that's big. And over time, with the wife and stuff, it stays. I converted my garage into a game room, and the thing that keeps me married is balance. I take care of all my responsibilities, and then I game or collect outside of that. And so that's my secret.
Balance. That's key. What about you, Retro?
My wife actually is very enthusiastic about it. She'll go on like local Facebook groups trying to find me more games to fill. When we bought our house, I said the basement's mine, and I originally had it to be like a guy's man cave, with a couple arcades, foosball machine, poker tables, and then I was like, you know what, I'm going to go to my true passion and then just convert it to nothing but video games.
Nice. Yeah, my wife is nothing but cool about my collection. She's kind of like, it's your thing, as long as it's not, kind of like what John says, as long as it's not really interfering too much with our time or our money. Yeah,
the money's the key issue there as well.
She's cool with it, and so far it's been great. What I know, John, you were saying you need that balance with games, but what are you currently playing right now?
I'm playing quite a bit. I really got into Hearthstone. For modern, I'm playing that on the PC. Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition on the PS3. So Hearthstone on PC, Diablo 3 on PS3, and mostly playing a 2600. A mix of 2600 and some Nintendo. So on the 2600, I always go back to Berserk. My favorite 2600 game. And or kind of an uncommon game called Sky Skipper, and it's silly. It's a silly game. I do believe it was originally I'm gonna say it was an arcade game, and you're a little plane and you're like bombing monkeys, and it's bizarre, and I don't know, I like it.
Nice. You said you played a lot of Hearthstone. I have been playing the crap out of that game, actually, for the past couple months. What class do you use to play in that game?
So I like the hunter.
Me too. Love him.
I'm also cheap, so I do any of the challenges to go in the arena using my free gold to get cards. So I've been playing everything. What I find is the priest is extremely cheap, and so I'm playing him. I have to keep up on current stuff because I teach intro to game development at a local community college, and so I try to keep up on current games. I can't keep up on everything, but I try to stay up on it and just current.
Nice. Well, I already have mentioned I've been playing the crap out of Minecraft. That's like my nighttime game.
Nice.
Hearthstone is my daytime game. But I recently got back into doing every week Nintendo Age has weekly contests of games. So I was really active in doing that for about a year, and I kind of trickled off near the end of last year. But I've gotten back into it. So this week's game was Smash TV.
Oh, nice.
it was one of those games where I've played before. I was, whatever, when I was a kid. Then I started playing it now, and I am in love with that game. You can play with the two controllers, and it's just like Robotron, with each controller does something, and one moves and one shoots, and it is so much fun.
Made by the same programmer, I do believe, too.
Yeah, I think so as well. So that's my Nintendo game, and now every week I am going to be playing a new Nintendo game for the contest. So I'm way into that. All right, so we all collect games, obviously. So it takes us picking up games to be a video game collector. Let's just all go around and talk about some of the things we've recently picked up. Could be this week, could be this month, just some highlights. And we'll start with Mike.
What have I recently picked up? what was it called? Black Dawn?
Yeah.
Black Dawn.
Yeah, for the Saturn. I haven't played it yet, but it's a helicopter sim. I've also picked up Chris. Chris, what was the name of it?
I like I like how Mike has to check with Chris with what he got.
No, Chris, the one
there were some Japanese titles he did trades with me, and he doesn't know how to pronounce them.
No,
That's fair. That's fair.
The Saturn one.
The Saturn one?
I'm gonna sound like an asshole. I can't say.
It's like
I just the one that I wanted to
I know what you're
import.
talking about. I don't remember the name of it.
I don't know either, but it's a good game. Go get it.
best plug for a video game ever.
John, the one that you told me to pick up, I actually traded someone for it. The Virtua Fighter.
Yeah, the Virtua Fighter for PS2.
Yeah.
Greatest Hits one that had some extra content.
Yeah, I just got that, and I've got
You got Lupin the Third for the Famicom?
yeah. I can't play it because I don't have a Famicom, but I got it.
Yeah. And
Well, who's
also,
it signed by?
I believe it was signed by Monkey Punch himself.
Okay.
That's the guy who actually made the manga and the anime and whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mhm.
That's super cool.
I gave that one to Mike.
It was a trade. I also.
Well, whatever.
I got a. We got
Fantasy?
capacitor. Yeah, the Final Fantasy. Which one are they? Because I don't want to seem like an asshole now.
Final Fantasy 4 and 6 for the Super Famicom.
Roman numerals and me aren't friends, so yeah.
Nice. And also, for those of you who don't know, so this seems less awkward. Mike and Chris live right by each other. So that Mike's been going over to Chris's house and trading games and everything. That's why he's asking him what games he got. But it sounds like you'll go out and get any game someone recommends to you, Mike. So I'm going to start recommending you some awful games just to see if you go
if
get
they're
them.
cheap, I don't care. As long as they're cheap, I don't give a shit. I'll buy them.
E.T. for the Atari, Mike. You want that?
Yeah, but I want
good.
one, but everybody wants to charge more for it.
The objective of that game is fall into a pit. There you go. E.T. for
Oh.
the Atari.
You know what's funny about ET for the Atari? Like when I was growing up, the kids down the street from me when I was real young, like 5 or 6, they had an Atari, and that was the game we played. And we were like 5 and 6, so we didn't know any better. So I've probably played so much ET for the Atari at being 5 years old, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. So I've never gone back and played it because I don't want to ruin my great memories of like being 5 years old and playing a video game. Oh my gosh, look at Mike.
Mike's got
Mike
his
is
Atari
Mike
up.
is hugging his Atari 2600 right now. Chris, what have you picked up this week?
Let's see. Besides the Atari and those games, oh yeah, I got like 4 controllers for it. I got the paddle controllers for it. Turn that off. I got a Legend of Zelda DS. I did a trade for. I already showed you, Matt.
Yeah,
Who'd you
I'm
trade
jealous.
with?
It's cool.
That's really it. I didn't pick up a lot of crazy stuff this time, so.
John, what have you got recently that's new and exciting and fun?
For me, it's a lot of my hunting is that I have a friend with a game store, and so I have people kind of look for me to do the hunting for their job, and then they have my list. And so I took a friend of mine who owns a game store. Instead of a bachelor party, he wanted to go shop in Portland. We hit over 30 to 40 game stores and thrift stores on a 2-day stint. Long story short, I scored an Amiga 500 box, which I didn't have for my Amiga 500. And so pretty hard box to get. It's like the bonus pack with all some extra stuff in it. And so I got that. I got some paddle controllers for an Apple II. I scored some greatest hits games off my list, nothing special. NASCAR 98 and 99. Just some cheap greatest hits stuff. Resident Evil 2 greatest hits as well. That's what I got. And DuckTales for the Game Boy.
Nice. Yeah, I saw you've been posting about different PlayStation greatest hits. That's cool. I guess that's what I guess that's where you're at now with, going for variants and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know. I pursue Sega Genesis cardboard variants after having a complete US set. Got to keep it fun and affordable. And it's tough now. Like good example today. Mythicon games for 2600 have just been not worth anything for so long, and now they're selling for like $20-$30 a piece. And I saw some going cheap on eBay. I think, maybe I'll snipe this, but no.
Yeah. Well, my business partner, James from 8-Bit Evolution, that's 8bitevolution.com for everybody. He has a complete Sega Genesis collection, and he's kind of like you. He's getting all like the variants and stuff like that. So, Retro, what about you? What have you gotten?
The biggest things for me was complete in box Mega Man 5, Gargoyle's Quest 2, Pokemon Yellow, the system complete in the box for the game with the Game Boy Color, and box only for Mega Man 7, which I only need the cart and manual now for that. Those were the big ones. Various small things.
Those are big ones. Mega Man 7 box was a bitch for me to find, and Mega Man 5 is in the box has to be the hardest of the Nintendo ones.
Yeah, that one's been haunting me for a while.
I have a complete in box Mega Man collection, and the last thing I needed for it was the manual for Mega Man 2. Out of all things, that's what was eluding me forever. And I would refuse to buy, I refused to just jump on eBay and buy it for whatever. I was like, I'm going to find it. And it took me forever to find a stupid manual for Mega Man 2.
So you have the complete in box for just the original Nintendo or all of it?
Nintendo, Super Nintendo.
Okay.
I have other ones too, but they're not, it's bits and pieces of them.
I'm 3 away from all of them. Nice.
I got some cool stuff this past month. I'm going for a complete Nintendo collection, card only. I scored 10 games this past month, which is big for me because I was at 728, so that put me up to 738. So now I'm 30 away. I'm going licensed and unlicensed. One of the games I actually got, Chris recommended to me a store out in New York. I took my daughter to New York this past weekend, and he recommended a store to me. I went and checked it out. It was Video Games New York.
Yep.
Cool store. Retail store. They have some things priced retail, but in general, I would say the store had good prices. I was definitely happy with the prices, and I ended up getting Linus Spacehead there, which is one of those unlicensed games that they're just so random and hard to find, Well, also when we were in New York, we went to World of Nintendo, and out of all the things we did there, that was easily my daughter's favorite thing because, like me, she is real into video games. I mean, it's kind of what I brought her up on. So she was just blown away by how the store was and how cool it was. So it was just like a cool moment to have with, your kid going to like a place you love and they love it even more than you do,
That's like everyone's dream almost, trying to get their kids into what they're into.
Yeah, definitely. It makes it easy when it's video games,
Yeah.
It's like, I'll be like, did you finish your homework yet? Because I want to play some video games with you, but you got to finish it. Come on, let's go.
You're like, I'm waiting. The answer's 5. The answer is 5. Let's go.
Yeah.
I remember when my son was, I was worried that my son wasn't going to like games at all. And then now it's like, no, we can only play 1 hour of Minecraft together, or Lego, and we gotta wait. You gotta do your homework, or you gotta go to bed. You got school tomorrow, and so it's so funny that you worry about your children being into the stuff you're into, but video games is a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, the Lego games, John. That's what I have a son and a daughter, and that's what I got my son started on when he was 4. Was playing all those Lego games with them. Because they're great. He can die over and over and over, and it doesn't matter. And they're just cool games,
Good stuff.
Speaking of Legos, the one thing I did pick up when I was in New York was we went to the Lego store, and I don't collect Legos. I don't own any Legos now, but they had a Lego DeLorean, and I couldn't pass it up. It was just way too cool. I was just like, yeah, I'm buying that.
Did you put it together?
Yeah, I put it together. It's awesome.
Nice.
You can make all 3 different DeLoreans, one from each movie. It's super cool. So we can let's move on to our topics here. We have a couple different topics we are going to talk about. Resellers was a big one that has come up on our last podcast. As well as buying things off of eBay and just like local Craigslist, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I'm going to let Mike pick which topic we discuss first. The choices are resellers, eBay, or Craigslist. And then we'll just organically let them flow into each other.
Well, I mean, I would say resellers, but I gotta think of the reason why I hate them so much. So eBay. I like eBay. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I like eBay when it's not $10,000 for Chris. What was it?
King of Fighters 98 for the Neo Geo.
Yeah, when it's not $10,000, then I like it. Otherwise, then eBay is no good.
eBay is perfect for this manual or the cart, or if you're just missing a box, and honestly, I personally love eBay, especially when you buy like the giant lots and you find like mystery games that you don't have in your collection that you really need. But resellers are all over eBay, so resellers are a necessity in life to find the game that you're looking for.
If you had asked me this talk about eBay like 2 years ago, I would have been like, I love eBay. I think it's the greatest thing ever. Because I used to sell on eBay a lot. I would, buy lots of games, keep the games I wanted, and then flip the games I didn't want. And I would say that is what most of us do as collectors.
Absolutely.
In one form or another. Not necessarily buy lots and sell them on eBay, but buy games, keep the ones we want, and almost resell the games we don't want, or that we already have, or that kind of thing. So any video game collector that says that they don't in some form resell video games is either very wealthy or dumb. That's like pretty much all I can think of. So reseller is kind of like a very broad term that has a really negative connotation, because when we as collectors say, reseller, when I think of like someone who's like a reseller, I think of the guy who beats me to the flea market, who has a flea market vending booth, that doesn't know shit about collecting video games, but will try to buy as many games as he can because he knows he could sell them, and then he'll look up all the prices on eBay and sell them for whatever. That's what I think of when I think of a reseller. But if you think of what a reseller is, we kind of all are resellers,
Yeah.
I'd like to chime in here and say that I'm pretty busy now, and that I look at reselling as a necessity for where I'm at. Like you were saying earlier, I use eBay at the last resort. Personally, I feel like I got a much better contacts in person. They give me better deals, and so I'm not going to pay more unless it's truly rare. But then truly rare is not going to be on eBay either. And so, people say things are rare, but they're not rare. If they're saying they're rare, 9 out of 10 times it's not rare. It's popular, but it's not rare. And there's a difference. And so I have many, I live in the Northwest, which is probably the best place in the United States to game. I probably have 100 game stores within a 3-mile radius. And so, in shows and conventions. And so, reselling to me is not bad. I think sometimes we get mad at video game resellers. Well, that's the only way I can add games to my collection. And so as long as you're not a D-bag about it, and that's a big thing. I think we have people that have game stores and they sell games and they're friendly and knowledgeable. And then you have other ones that aren't. And so I choose to do my business with friends and people that are respectful and knowledgeable. And I just don't have, to me, I think that I just read an article before I came on here about how we need to retire resellers, because it's like in the video game community, it's like a negative connotation. But the truth is, whenever we buy something off eBay, we're buying from resellers. And
Yeah.
I'm thankful for that, because that person, if they didn't sell that, I wouldn't be able to add to my collection.
And like I said, I almost was, I was always a video game collector, but I would always try to get the top dollar for my games when I would sell them on eBay. But that's a practice I've changed a while ago. And it's kind of like what John said. Like, I've developed such a good network of other collectors, etc. Like, I got a lot earlier this year. It was like 200 games. And I didn't even have to think about going on eBay. I kept the games I wanted. And then I just started hooking up my collector friends. Sure, I was charging more than I paid because I got them for like $1 a game. But I was also selling them at a price that people were super stoked about, selling like a copy of Wayne's World for NES for $40 to somebody. And you see those on eBay for like $100, that kind of thing. So that's kind of that's where I'm at now with my buying and selling of games. And I encourage my other friends to kind of do that too. And we've kind of just created our own network without trying to maximize get every dollar out of a game. I'm all about giving someone money for them taking the time to go out and use their gas and spend their Saturday afternoon finding games. I guess I just don't like it when someone is into the hobby or exploiting the hobby just for money. I think that's kind of where the reseller negative term puts a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, like I said, one of my best friends is at the game store, and he, the guy works every day. Like every day he's hunting for games. I can't do that. Like gas wise, I can't do that. Time wise, I can't do that. And he goes out of his way to he knows exactly what I'm missing. He knows what greatest hits PlayStation games I'm missing. And I'm so happy to pay market value for someone like that, because they're doing something that I can't. And the fact that, so you have people like that. Then you have other people that they score something great and then they rub it in your face and then are a total jerk about it. And so there's two pools of people. Like there's the honest business person, which, let's face it, it's an open market. And so I don't look down upon anybody making profit from this, because the bottom line is if people aren't selling video games, I'm not adding games to my collection. So we need resellers, and we need to not have, for the ones that are honest and reputable, that's a good thing. The ones that aren't, the best thing you can do is just not give them their money. And, and eventually their reputation will speak for themselves and they'll go away.
The one thing that I hated is there's a video game store out by me that there's no prices on any single game. And when you bring him up to the cash register, he goes up on eBay and looks at the going rate of the games. And depending on which employee is working, he'll either look at the last few, or if it's one of the other employees, he'll go with the most highest one that was sold recently. And that's what the price is. There's other stores with the price tags on it, and if they get caught slipping because they priced it wrong, or it's been sitting in their inventory for a year and a half and the price changed, they don't care. They're fine. It's go ahead. But I hate going into a store where there's no prices and it's a video game store, and then they're like, all right, let's see what these games are on eBay right now.
I would go in that place once. I would turn to them. I said, what you're doing is terrible, and I would never go back. And I don't care if it's a good deal. I would speak on principle and say, you know what? Screw you.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree.
Anytime I try to buy a game from Chris, he goes on eBay and looks at what the highest buy it now is, and then tries to charge me $5 more than the highest buy it now.
That's a fair price.
That's what he says.
Only thing that tops that is if they're using Amazon for pricing.
Oh, you don't like Amazon prices? They're so low.
I could take a piece of poop that I just did and put it in a bag and then go on Amazon and put it up for $40. And
You'll get it.
I'm sure someone out there is like, oh my gosh, Hancock's poop is $40.
Comes with a certificate of authenticity.
Can we get a picture with you holding the thumbs up with it?
So, I mean, seriously, though, when someone says Amazon pricing, I just sigh, and I'm like, I'm out of here. I can't do this. And and I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, but, like, if someone is just, like, not going to negotiate at a reasonable price, I just say, you know what? I don't have time for this. Thank you very much. And I just walk away, even if they're still talking. And that's not rude. That's just me communicating, saying you're not worth my time.
I know Mike and Chris, it's kind of hard for you guys to get. There's no yard sales. There's no flea markets out your way. So eBay is almost a necessity for you guys as far as game collecting. Why don't you guys talk about that for a little bit?
I'll let Mike go first if he wants.
Oh, that's so gentlemanly of you.
Yeah.
He's playing with his Tari. He can't talk right now.
I mean, eBay is not a necessity. I mean, if I'm going to buy something, if I want something and I go on eBay and it's too expensive, I'm not going to get it. But I wanted to talk about the Amazon thing. I recently went to get an Atari 7800 off of Amazon, and the cheapest one, I think, was $2,500.
$2,500?
Mm-hmm. See, with Amazon, for me, I've bought a couple things off there, like in the years of collecting, and it's like a crapshoot. It's kind of like the Wild West because there's no pictures on there.
You don't know what you're getting.
You have to go with how the seller describes it.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I'm a seller, I'm gonna talk up my item like it's the greatest thing ever, you know. And I'd say I've probably bought about, as far as games go, less than 10. But around 10, you know, we'll say that. And probably about half of them I've been disappointed with when I have purchased them. So I haven't bought a game off Amazon in years.
PlayStation Greatest Hits collecting there sucks because no picture. And so you have to communicate. Is this Greatest Hits? Is this Greatest Hits? Is this Greatest Hits? And yeah, same thing. I'm about with you where I've bought probably half a dozen games and disappointed, fourth of the time. And I just like, it's just not worth my time. I mean, every now and then if I'm looking for something silly or if it's not rare or something, I might inquire, but I usually don't deal with it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Even though Chris's family owns and founded Amazon, I still really won't buy off of them.
No. Now back to the our eBay situation. I mean, if I find a good deal on eBay, I'm probably going to get it. But as for garage sales and flea markets and yard sales, we don't have any of that here because where we live sucks.
Yeah, if we ever do have one, it's mostly just selling books or clothes and such. If there's ever a garage sale, you'll almost never find any video games ever.
No, like one time I found an original Game Boy, but they want $60 for it.
Yeah, there was a garage sale last week I went to, and the only game they had was like Star Wars Obi-Wan for the Xbox. I was like, yeah, okay, no.
How much?
The lady wanted like $10 for it.
Should have told her to.
I told her no.
Now I know, like, I have yard sales and flea markets here. Retro, you have yard sales and flea markets out your way?
I drive about a half an hour for good yard sales and flea markets, and then about another hour further out for even better ones.
Yeah, but one thing all of us have is Craigslist in one form or the other.
You gotta be careful here in New York. You can get gypped very easily, and you can get robbed very easily.
It was just, what was it, a week ago, I'd say, with that guy with a wig?
2 weeks ago.
A guy had a original SNES, and he wanted, one of the things he wanted to trade, he had some Atari games and an SNES, and some controllers, and I think, what was it, Super Mario World, and Star Fox, and something else?
Yeah.
And I have an original white Wii the GameCube compatible that I didn't want. So I started talking to the guy, and I was like, well, if you want to do this, we have to meet at the mall. Because he originally told me he wants to meet me at Tottenville train station. Now, I'm going to sound like an idiot saying this. First of all, you don't do anything at Tottenville train station ever. But on top of that, 5 minutes later in the conversation, he tells me I have to meet him in Bay Street. And now you don't do anything in Bay Street either, even more than you wouldn't do in Tottenville train station.
I mean, do you want to get killed and or mugged? Go for it.
But I mean, they're both on two different sides of the island. So now I have something in my head, this guy's lying or something, because why can he get there but not to the mall?
Yeah.
So the whole thing came down to this guy was lying and started messaging everyone else.
Oh yeah. Mike started saying, "Hey, I don't want to go to this place. I'm
I don't
only
trust
15
you."
years old. I don't trust it." And he's like, "Just come to the mall where there's people. I'll pay for your bus fare." And the whole time the
Car
guy's
fare.
like, "Yo,
He
yeah,
couldn't speak.
the guy
He kept saying car fare, and it was annoying me.
Yeah. So, and then Mike's like, "Call me so I can at least talk to you, so I can hear you."
I don't my phone doesn't make calls.
Yeah,
or I don't
my
take
phone doesn't make calls right now. I can't call you.
And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm a 17-year-old guy. I'm not gonna mug you. Come to the hood."
Yeah, that's. I mean, that has all the telltale signs of this is a bad deal, and it's one of those things.
It's a good deal. Just go for it.
I mean, I was going to, but I'm not going to. If he can't meet me at the mall, and if he says car fare, I can't do it.
I told Mike, like, all right, so if you go to it, I can't. I'll see if I can make your funeral.
I was like, "So Chris, I'm coming to pick you up tomorrow. Are you coming with me?"
I told you I would go with you. I don't care.
If the deal
mental.
if the deal is too good to be true on Craigslist, it's too good to be true.
It wasn't
every
too
time.
good to be true. It was just this guy was shady.
Yeah.
And then he
Yeah.
stopped after I said that. He stopped messaging me. So that's how you know it was fake.
It got to a point where Mike even said, "I'll give you $10 for freaking bus fare, even though it's like $250 going, $250 coming back." You know. And the guy still wouldn't budge. So
I told him
he was trying to jip him.
I legitimately told him, "I'll give you $2.50. He's like, "Oh, I can't do that. I don't have $2.50.
Yeah.
Now around here, Craigslist used to be a gold mine for me. I used to clean up on Craigslist. I would be meeting people once every 2 weeks that were just, the good old cleaning out their closet or whatever. I have these video games I don't want anymore, buying lots of games for $50, $100 and getting all kind of great stuff. And over the years, that's kind of become less and less, and there've become more and more of us trying to get these games. It's to the point now where I don't even bother with it. It used to be such a good resource for me. And I would even put up ads like, "Hey, I'm buying old video games." And now those, "Hey, I'm buying old video game" ads are a dime a dozen. And I haven't put up one of those in about 2 years just because it's almost such a cutthroat competition now, on Craigslist, at least, that I don't, it was a great asset to me that has now become almost useless to me.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Where I had an ad for a long time and was getting some great stuff, but it's become a sausage party. I mean, it really has. I mean, there's just a lot of people. Everybody's got their own interest for getting stuff, but for whatever reason, I hardly have anybody call my ad anymore when I repost it. And I do it, and I'm not a big reseller because if you don't put that, then you get just a bunch of crap you don't want to deal with, and it's I don't even have time to deal with this person on the phone because what they have I don't want. And the other thing with Craigslist too is now, in the old days, people weren't using eBay. They were just I'm getting rid of my stuff. And now you looking at eBay and looking at Amazon and looking at video game price charts or whatever stupid ass pricing system they want to use. And I think my piece of poop is worth $100, and it's not. And then I'm a pretty honest guy, and I'll tell someone if they have a rare item or not if they ask me what it's worth. And it's just tough. I've gone to more than one Craigslist ad where they had an original Xbox and they wanted $100. And then how many times have you heard this? Oh, when this came out, I paid $400. So
yeah,
I love that phrase.
But then you want to be honest with them in a nice, polite way, saying, "Yeah, but right now the market for this is this, and it's not worth that." And then you typically go farther along the conversation. And it's "Yeah, well, I'm short $100 in rent, and that's why I'm trying to get this for it, because I really need $100 for my groceries, or formula, diapers, new baby, blah blah blah, meth, yada yada yada. So
Meth.
yeah, so it's
Breaking
just
Bad.
tough. Yeah, exactly. And it's gotten to the point where it's not worth a lot of my time to even deal with it, because of all just the bad deals, the high prices, or the vultures.
Yeah, that's it. That sums it up for me perfectly. Bad deals, high prices, and vultures.
The only time that I'll ever go
And
along
meth. Retro, what were you going to say about how you like Craigslist casual encounters?
The only time that I would use Craigslist is if it's like a rainy day and I'm completely washed out. Like there's no flea markets, garage sales. It's a Saturday and I don't want to just blow my day on. I woke up at 5 a.m. for nothing. So that's the only time that I'll ever appear on Craigslist. And if I put it like an ad out, there's people that report it as spam, and before the ad's up for more than an hour, it's already taken down. And that's what I get. Or I'll get people flooding my mailbox with just vultures, just telling me random stories to get me engaged, to get me off of Craigslist so they can go back to what they're doing.
Yeah. So many $150 Wii bundles. Because like John said, I paid $450 for all of this stuff.
I paid $20 for mine. And that was just convenient. I was hanging out at a GameStop. My friend, he's one of the managers, and I was just chilling with him. And this lady walked in, wanting to trade in her son's Wii or something like that because he didn't want it anymore. And they told her it was like what, $15 or something, store credit or something like that. And I just said, "Hey, I'll give you $20 for it. I don't have a Wii," and she took it. So
You need to take that outside, sir. You can't do any of those transactions inside GameStop.
yeah. I won't say which GameStop it was, but my friend doesn't care. He just told me, go to the corner where the camera can't see you and just do it real quick.
I also have a story like that. I almost got thrown out of GameStop by
Almost.
and I don't want to say his name.
There are several times you almost got thrown out.
I was going to say,
GameStop.
how many times has Mike actually been thrown out of GameStop?
Never, but there was multiple occasions. I don't want to say. Oh, who gives a fuck? Fuck him. What was his name? Leo. He doesn't work there anymore. Anyway,
he doesn't work there anyways.
yeah, he's probably in prison. That bastard.
Leo's not listening to this podcast.
I hope he is that bastard. He wanted to throw me out because some woman came in with PS2 games she didn't want. She said, "I don't want them. Just throw them out." And he took them and went to put them in the garbage. And I asked for them, and he said no.
Yeah.
And threw them in the garbage.
Yeah.
And
What you wait for is for them to put them in the garbage, then you can get them.
Then he dumpster dive.
no, in the garbage, like behind the counter.
Yeah.
And then when I asked him, he said no on purpose. And I'm not saying that I was right, but there was some things said that shouldn't have been said. But I shouldn't have gotten thrown out for it.
Let's talk about all the other places Mike has been escorted out of now.
Walmart that one time.
Bed Bath and Beyond.
Chuck E. Cheese.
Bed Bath.
That wasn't my fault.
Bed Bath and Beyond. He was buying like a candy bar with $100 bill, and the guy
In
thought
Bed
it was
Bath and
fake.
Beyond?
Or whatever.
No,
wherever
that
it
was Five Below. That guy was an asshole.
Yeah, he had $100 bill. He's like, "I want this candy bar. Here's $100," and the guy thought it was fake. So he gets into a giant argument with him, and let's just say Mike had to get escorted out of the building.
That's great.
They definitely have to take legal tender, unless they can't break change. But,
No, it was a real 100. He used the marker and everything. He just was.
well, yeah. What I'm saying is they have to take legal tender.
Oh, no.
They have to give you valid reason why they can't take that $100 bill.
No, I told him, and he's like, "Cuz."
Yeah, he thought that is just because Michael was a little kid, that this $100 bill has to be fake. So,
Good
how old
for
were
you,
you, Mike?
Mike.
Like 13 at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you though for standing up. I would have. I'm a man of principle, and I'm known to be like pretty passive and nice, but that would have gotten me mad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very passive and nice person, as you can see.
Especially Santa. I love how one time I walked into a Best Buy, and I'm just looking around the game section, and you know how Best Buy has those games in the little plastic cases that you can't open? You have to use a security lock?
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at stuff, and I'm like, yeah, there's something I want. So I was there for about 20 minutes. I'm like about to leave, and one of the employees comes up to me. He's like, "Excuse me, sir, do you need any help?" I'm just like, no, I'm good. I just was looking around. I don't really want to get anything. And he just looks at me and goes, "Oh, okay. Well, I just wanted to check up on you because I thought you were going to steal something."
Well, at least he's honest. I mean, who
Yeah,
cares?
he kept it real. Speaking of Best Buy, did you know Toys R Us and Target have these new World of Nintendo figures out right now? Have you guys seen those?
I'm going to get them tomorrow.
I didn't even know about it. I should check it out.
Did you love my awful transition?
No, it wasn't that bad.
That's the worst goddamn transition I've ever seen.
You said you're getting them tomorrow, Retro?
Yeah, I was.
Or Mike?
I have them all except for the Link. That's the only one I'm missing.
Have you seen those, John?
Yeah, I've heard about them. A bunch of people posting, pretty much people already going and getting early access to them and getting out the rare ones. And I did figure collecting before I got into games, and so for me, it doesn't do it. I collect the games and occasional accessory and stuff, but I'll let the action figure geeks go out there and have fun and appreciate them, and I'm kind of done with that.
Yeah, I don't do toy collecting at all, except for video game action figures of games I really like. So it's a very specific market of games I go for, or figures I go for. I don't buy all these collector's editions that come out of all these games I don't care about. But when it comes to like classic Nintendo characters, I'm a sucker. Like I have a bunch of Mega Man figures and Samus and Chrono Trigger. I do that. So when these Nintendo figures came out, I just thought they were the coolest because they're pretty cheap and they're really well done for how inexpensive they are.
How much are they?
For the 6-inch posable ones, the Link, the Mario, and the Yoshi, I think they're $8.99.
Yes.
Oh, all right.
And then
They're
the
4 inches.
They're 4 inches.
Yes.
And
Then
then
the
the-
6 inches are the Donkey Kong and the Bowser that are $16.99, I believe.
Yeah, and then they have the little 2-inch ones. Is that what they are?
2.5, and then they're $3.99 each, and there's
Yeah.
6 of them.
I know which ones I'm getting.
Now, I will say that especially the Mario and Yoshi are cool. There's a million Mario and Yoshi figures. You know, you can get them. But the Link is awesome. The Link is super cool. I love it. There's not that many Link action figures. Like, I have the Figma Link action figure that retail when it came out, I think I paid like $55 for, which is a stupid amount for a stupid action figure, you know, at least for me. So when I saw these ones that were very similar quality for $8.99, I was pumped.
I was going to say real quick, what are the one exception to my rule would be the Skylander figures that Nintendo's going to make this next year that actually connect to a game. I might get those.
The Amiibos?
Yeah, the Amiibos. Yeah, those look pretty cool. And I know those going to retail, I think, like $13 a piece. And so
Yeah.
I may get those because those actually look pretty cool. But part of my problem too is I don't have a single space on my wall that's free that I can hang stuff. And so I would just put it in a box. And I'm like, it only lasts so long in a box, and either I wouldn't look at it and forget I had it, and I just have no space. And it's cool. I mean, I think they're cool. I just that's the other reason why I don't collect them.
Yeah, I do like adding little knick-knack type things to my game room. It gives it a little more character than just the games. Not that the games aren't enough, because they certainly are, and it's cool. But I like to just put like a little figure on a shelf with like all my games and like one on each shelf, that kind of thing. And like I said, I think the thing that really sold me on these ones was the quality of them for the price. because I'm paying like 4 times, 5 times as much for a very similar type quality figure. So that's what got me on these ones.
Yeah, I have all my knickknacks in a box, but I have like 20 years of knickknacks, and so it's like I can only fit so much in my game room, and then it's like even if I expanded to a double car garage, it'd be like this. I think it's cool though. I mean, I definitely, I know I have some really cool stuff. I have like the I Hate You trophy from Metal Geese's channel, and like a Lunar, box Lunar doll, and a bunch of promo stuff that's like half unreleased, half like cool, but I can't display it all, and I hate that. I just wish I could display everything: posters and lanyards and weird convention posters that they only made 5 of because the printer died or something. I don't know. That's cool. I really think it's cool that Nintendo's. It looks like it's been pretty popular with collectors too. So I've seen them, and they look good. So. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm definitely sold on them. I'm a fan of them. Retro is a fan of them. They're
Absolutely. Plus, I have plenty of wall real estate that I need to fill up instead of just empty walls. Posters, anything like that. I've gotten a few perlers. I know a guy that makes perlers for me, and then I put them in shadow boxes to make them look a little bit nicer.
Cool.
Hey, John, I got a question, actually. You were talking about expanding, right? Possibly?
Yeah. Yeah.
How would your wife feel if you started expanding maybe like the living room or something, or your own bedroom?
No, that's out of the question.
That's not gonna fly.
Yeah, so the rule is I have a game room, and she supports the hobby and supports, she's supporting me watching the kids while I do this podcast, and she's been a wonderful wife. And the thing is, I have 2 options. I either expand the game room or get a new house. And so we're looking at that probably down the road. We really like the school that our kids are at, and the location and my job. And so, that comes first. I thought about expanding out. I've outgrown this, and I've outgrown it for a while. And I really, the long-term goal, I think, is to have my collection in the museum. Just putting out on the podcast, I'd be open to that. I like to have control, but still. So it's one of those things of like, I'd like, 21 or 22 complete U.S. game collections. And so I'd like to have it somewhere and have it just represented, just to show people, hey, this is what came out on the system, and I think it'd be worthy somewhere, even if I have to do it myself.
Yeah, I've heard you mention that before, John, on other YouTube channels or somewhere along the way, that that is like kind of like sort of the end goal for you with that collection is a museum. And I think, and not even, I think your collection is more than museum worthy, but just in general, I think a video game collection in a museum would just be awesome. It would be great. It would be like people who love football Hall of Fame. I like video game collectors would make a pilgrimage to the video game museum.
Well, eventually this stuff is not going to work anymore at some point, but the physical copies and what it looks like, that is nostalgia there. And so I think even if everything, I think a lot of, we're talking about Atari stuff behind me. I know that listeners can't see it, but Atari stuff still works. It's 4 years old. And so I think that there's a lot of just great history there with art, or and I think as time goes on, you're going to see more advocacy for it. It's already happening, and so I'm hoping one day I kind of look at me as like when I'm 70, I'm going to be like those guys plucking trains that you see. They got their little railroad outfit on, and let me talk to you about the old days of Atari. They get all excited about their trains or their setup, and that's just like, I chose games, and I've chosen games as my primary hobby for the last 20 years, and I've climbed any mountain that I've ever wanted to do, and I've met great people, and it's just great to see it continue to flourish, and I'll continue to be kind of like this, like just kind of the standard general guy spokesperson for retro gaming and continue to do it.
Yeah. Now you mentioned Atari and like the artwork. That's one thing that I love about the Atari is the box artwork, because it's kind of like, this is what tells the story of the game, even though the game looks like, just some lines and some dots. It was back when like we had to really use our imagination, and that cover art, especially like there are certain games that it's so perfect. And like, I mean, Adventure is like one of like my favorite ones, because the game, and Adventure is a great Atari game too, but what you're actually seeing on the screen versus what's on the cover art, it's like that cover art just draws you in, and it actually makes you have to imagine that that's what you're doing. I love the Atari cover art for that.
Yeah, it's funny that, I typically, I grew up with Nintendo. Atari was kind of like what I played with my cousins, and when I started retro collecting back even when I was a teenager, it was probably the very first thing I retro collected in my collection. Didn't keep much of my original stuff. But it's funny because now that I'm older and I have less time, it's like Atari, I can play a game in 15 minutes, and going back to artwork, Warlords is a good example of great box art, and it just, to me, really captures what that game's about. And again, you look at Atari stuff, you have to use your imagination for pretty much everything. What the hell am I doing? What the hell am I supposed to do? What the hell am I supposed to be? And for some games it works really well. Other games it's like, I can't do this because it's like I'm a block. Yeah.
This is a stretch.
Yeah, it's a stretch. Warlords is one that works really well, and that's one of my favorite 2600 games behind dessert.
Nice. Well, we're getting near the end of the podcast here. We'll just go around, see if anybody has any closing thoughts or comments they would like to make, and we'll start with our guests. We'll start with Retro Rat.
My closing thoughts would be very simple. Knowledge. Learn from other people. Find out what you like to play, what you like to enjoy, and then ask people for systems that you're unfamiliar with if there's any games that exist for that system. And then, look at YouTube to look at the gameplay and before you buy it. That way you're not wasting your money.
That's great advice. How about you, John?
Wow, that's really good advice. I definitely think expanding your knowledge and really informing yourself about before jumping into something. I think that there's a lot of people that buy and sell that should definitely work on their knowledge before they continue that journey. And that I think that's it though, is that there's so much free information out on the internet. There's some great books, a great cheap book just to get started about video game history, ultimate history of video games. And it's older, but it's cheap, and it definitely does a good job kind of covering the basics. And because getting to know stuff, then you can determine what you want to pursue. I think Racket Boy has got a great site for intro to games 101 for multiple systems, and they have a beginner's guide that's really good for lots of key systems that a lot of people use as reference.
Yeah, Racket Boy is a good site. I when I first started, that's kind of like one of my go-to sites till I found more and more sites for sure. How about you, Mike? What words of wisdom do you want to leave us with here?
I have multiple things to discuss right now. First and foremost, eat your vegetable.
Just one vegetable.
Just one.
Carrots.
Carrot.
In case you guys didn't know, until what's the word I'm looking for? A mutation happened in the genetics of carrots in 1780s. Carrots were originally they were purple, and then
Okay, Chris, what are your closing thoughts?
And the mutation turned them orange. Thank you. Have a nice night.
Chris, I know I leave you with a tough act to follow there, but do your best.
Give me a moment, I'm crying.
That's fair.
I would just say, like, what John and Retro said. Do your research. Just make sure you're not getting gypped or cheated out of a trade or a sale. If the guy doesn't want to drop down and you can't talk him into it, don't even do it. Don't waste your money on it. If there's a reseller out there that doesn't want to make any negotiations, or at least want to sell a game for a fair price, just don't do it. Take your business somewhere else.
Just keep it moving.
Yep.
I would like to say thank you to John and to Retro Rat for taking the time out to be on the podcast. We really appreciate it. And also, if you are still listening to the podcast at this point, thank you. You are a saint. So we, on behalf of Chris and Mike, we greatly appreciate you sticking out this far with us. One final thing that I'll talk about more in detail on the next podcast is we just announced that we are going to host a retro gaming convention in Pittsburgh. So it'll be the first retro gaming convention here in Pittsburgh. I'll go into more detail about that. That's my shameless plug. My name's Maddie, and thank you so much on behalf of everyone from R is for Retro.